everyone, welcome back to another episode of Hate Read. I'm Anna, and normally I would be joined here with my co-host Em, but she is unavailable for today's episode. I think she's off gallivanting on a vacation somewhere when we're supposed to be recording, so lucky her. So with me today, I actually have my friend Lindsay here, who is joining us with a book that she does not like and had hated previously the first time she read it. So Lindsay, if you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about the book that you challenged me to read for this fortnight, and then I guess I'll ask you some questions about yourself and about reading and things, and we'll get into the episode.
Okay, hi everyone. So I chose Ready Player One, which everyone else loves, and that's fine, but I hate it. And I honestly, so I read it the first time in 2015, I want to say. So I thought, like, okay, this is the first book that came to mind when you asked me a book that I hate. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I was too harsh on it the first time I read it. Maybe it's better. Maybe it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Spoiler alert, it was worse. I hate it so much more now than I did in 2015.
Same.
So, yeah. Because I saw on Goodreads that you had rated it 5 stars the first time you read it.
Yes, I did.
Was upsetting to me at my core. I was like, who is this person? I thought we were friends. I thought I knew her. I showed Michael. I was like, Michael, Anna gave this book 5 stars.
I really enjoyed it. No, okay. So the first time I read it, to be fair, it was 2011.
And you were just a totally different person.
I was. It was 7 years ago. I was a completely different person.
But you weren't. I knew you. Anna. Your name wasn't Anna. What was it?
I guess Bizarro Anna. I don't know. Yeah, I guess all I can say is that I was not yet woke. I don't know. And this is kind of like jumping ahead a little bit to my silver lining and or rather be reading, but I have always kind of been drawn to this genre of like trapped in a video game type books. Okay. And yes, it is a genre. It's called like lit RPG.
I believe you.
I don't know. I think that's why I was willing to overlook a lot more stuff the first time I read it.
Okay. Well, because that's one thing that I definitely already know about you is that you have a much higher tolerance for poorly written books than I do.
Thus this podcast.
No, well, yes, because listening to other episodes, I'm like, how did she read this book? Like, what was the James Patterson one? I was just like,
oh my gosh, it was so good, though.
Shut up. Like, how did you do it? But then, like, whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so it was just bad. It was poorly written. And I feel like that's an opinion thing, to some extent.
To some extent.
But also, this is just factually poorly written. Like, if any book critic could read this and say, oh no, this is like really great prose, is lying. Like, that's just a lie.
100%. 100%.
And I'm not saying that like every book needs to be James Joyce, because then no one would ever read a book. Because have you ever tried to read Finnegan's Wake? Don't do it. And maybe I think you're right. I agree with you about the whole thing with being more woke, if you want to use that word.
Yeah.
Because there are things...
I don't know if I'm cool enough to use that word.
Me neither.
I tried.
But there are so many things that I don't even remember picking up the first time I read it that were just so blatantly sexist and racist and transphobic and all of these things that I'm just like, this book was not written in the 80s or 90s even. Not like I would give a pass to it if it were, written a long time ago. This book was written in 2010. I mean...
Yeah.
And there were a lot of
comments. You would think it'd be a lot more.
Yeah. Like, there were a lot of comments in there about, and again, I have my pages marked and everything, but like, go shut up. That, going through it, I was just like, I I feel like if we're reading this from Wade Watts' perspective, which of course we are, because I love living inside the mind of an 18-year-old red pillar. Like, I really do.
Yeah. That's my fab.
I don't know. But just certain things that he said and just comments that he made kind of offhand made me really think, like, wow, how are you saying this? And this is supposed to be
Why was this published?
Oh, first of all, number one, why was this published? And I know the answer, but still, and it doesn't stop me from asking myself why. But I don't know. Oh, also, spoiler. This is not a spoiler. I read Ernest Cline's Wikipedia entry, and apparently, apparently one of the first things that he got like famous for was, I can't even say this with a straight face, spoken word poetry slams.
I was gonna ask you if you found those.
Yes. I didn't watch any of them. I have not delved into it, but I saw it and I immediately was like, what?
I will link this when this episode goes live. I will try and remember to link this poem.
Oh no.
On the Twitters. Okay. I will try to link this poem, but it's called Nerd Porn Auteur.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's basically just a poem about how he objectifies a certain type of nerd girl, and it's all kinds of like just creepy and unsettling.
Wait, you mean objectifying nerd girls? There's none of that in this book. They don't do that at all to any of the main characters. So I don't know what you're talking
about. Okay, well, so before we get into the summary of the book, then I guess we should like talk a little bit about you, because our listeners don't know you like I know you. They don't know you like I know you. So yeah, why don't you give us just like a little bit, if this isn't too vague of a question, just like your reading background, and like what you normally like to read or things that you normally like to stay away from.
Okay.
Just go
sure.
In general, yeah.
I'm just so fascinating. Hi. Okay, so I read a lot. I like audiobooks and paper books, and I don't fuck with the Kindle. Wait, we're allowed to swear, right? Can we swear?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't fuck with the Kindle because I like a book. I like a real book. Let's see what else. I guess the kind of books I like. I really love science fiction. I love Margaret Atwood. I love Neil Gaiman. Oh, he's my favorite. American Gods. I love. We need to talk about this off mic, I think, but I'm really upset about the American Gods TV show situation. Have you heard anything
Me too,
about it?
and I just don't even know if I can watch it anymore because
I don't even know if it's gonna. Is it gonna come out at this point?
I have no idea. Right now, I'm just like gunning for Good Omens now. I'm just like, whatever. I'm sorry.
Oh,
American
for
Gods,
sure.
really
I
good,
keep seeing all the screenshots because I follow Neil Gaiman on Instagram because.
Why not?
And all of the shots from set that he keeps posting, and I'm so excited. I mean, David Tennant, like it's David Tennant.
Absolutely. So. Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, sorry. Segue. What else do I love to read? I really like literary fiction, which apparently that's a. That's what we're.
Snooze fest.
Shut up. Snooze fest.
And what would you say would be like a least favorite?
Oh,
like
least
what
favorite?
You never reached for?
YA.
Yeah.
YA, hands down.
Which is this book.
Which honestly I have a lot of questions about, because a lot of the places I find it posted and were like written about, like on Wikipedia and Goodreads and stuff, they claim it as science fiction and only kind of marginally YA. Like it's not really repped as a YA novel.
Because a dude wrote it.
Correct. I don't know how much you want to get into all of the sexism involved in this book, because I can go hard in the paint, so we don't have to. But a lot of my problems with this book have to do with like the rampant sexism involving how women who enjoy science fiction are depicted. And that's always a problem that I've had.
I think we could definitely get into that. I think that's something that we rally against here on the podcast. So.
Well, yeah.
As the fake geek girls that we
just
are.
Pretending to be a nerd. That's me. That's how I get guys.
The hottest of guys.
Hey, excuse me.
No, yeah, we got a couple of Michaels. So,
both of our husbands are named Michael, guys.
Okay, but so this is a book that you hated reading. How do you normally approach reading books you don't like? Do you ever finish a book you don't like?
Good question. I usually do finish books that I don't like. I've gotten very picky about the books that I read, so that I try not to pick books that I don't think that I'll like. But I usually do make myself finish them, especially if it's an audiobook. I'll just like crank through it, and also I use mostly the like the Hoopla app, and you can put it at like 1.2, and you can listen to it at a faster like pace or whatever, which I definitely do that. Not too fast, because I think if you put it on like times 2, it's like ridiculous and you can't even hear it.
Yeah, I like about 1.5.
Yeah, like a 1.5 speed is pretty good, and then you can just crank through it and you're like, oh god, I hate this. But usually for me, even like a book that I can't remember reading a book that I gave like 1 star recently, at least. I have to go back in my Goodreads list. Usually if I don't like it, I'll just power through and then rant about it to Michael, and he, doesn't care at all, but whatever.
That's fine. Sometimes it's just good to yell.
Yeah. It's very cathartic. You just need to get all the yells out.
Yeah, it's just like we're about to do with this book. Hey, good segue. So I guess we can talk about Ready Player One. I apologize because this book is so much plot and it is so long. Like this is the longest amount or highest amount of notes I've taken for a book in a long time. There's a lot to get through.
Same.
So
and I didn't mention this. By the way, I forgot I was going to say this. My degree is in English Lit, so I read a lot of books.
Oh, perfect.
In college, and and even from college, like you can see, I'll show you kind of my notes. I had to stop taking notes. Like, look at all this. I also have a notebook downstairs that, of course, I don't have in front of me. I should get Michael to bring it to me. But I took all these notes, and I'm like, I feel like I'm in school, but I'm more invested in this stupid fucking book than I was in any stupid fucking book I had to read at college.
Very true. Yeah. I also feel that way about all these hate reads and books that really, whether or not they should be given that time of day, I guess is.
Shouldn't. Why are we spending all of this energy? I should be outside. The moral of this book to me is go outside, actually.
Yeah, don't be skeevy pasty. Wade Watts, that's his name.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Wow, by the way, it's Wade Owen Watts. Wow.
Wade Owen. Wow. That is his name. Yeah, so Wade Owen Watts, high school student, lives in a future Oklahoma City, which. Wow. Very exciting.
It's bad.
And he is not super wealthy, so they live in a place called the Stacks, which are essentially like a trailer park that went vertical, so it's a bunch of trailers stacked on top of
I picture it as like train cars on...
That's what I did
like
too.
On a ship, like when you see train cars being transported on ships, that's how I picture it.
Yes.
Except apparently they have like ledges, because the scene where he's like crawling out of the window and he crawls into the old lady's house and she gives him food. And
yeah.
Then, oh god.
They have like front porches still.
Yeah, but
I guess balconies. I guess that's
so
not
that actually brings me to one of the first things that bothers me about the world building that he does.
Oh yeah, because the whole first 60 pages of this book are exposition and world building.
Oh, and not even the exposition is so bad. It doesn't feel like when you're reading a book usually, and you kind of you have to like come up with some of it yourself. Like you have your own picture of what these worlds are on your own.
Right.
Not in this one, because he makes sure to describe every single detail ad nauseum.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's not how you write a book. Like, you're supposed to be able to tell us, show us and not tell. There we go. Hello.
Yes.
There's a lot of telling and not a lot of showing, and that's something that I really hate.
Yes. And it's so frustrating. It is so tedious because he goes through every single little thing. Like, this is a video game. This is the year that it was published. This is who published it. This is every single detail about how you play this game. And I am excellent at this game also.
Everything is a list. Just like,
Yeah.
I think it's on, honestly, I remember this, it's like page 62, where he lists all of these lists of sci-fi and fantasy authors that he had to read. All of this list of the directors he had to watch all the movies of. All of the music he had to listen to. And it just list and list and list and list. And I'm like, we get it. We get it.
Yeah.
He was from the 80s, so you had to memorize the 80s to get this, the keys and everything. Like, whatever. But also, if you do the math, he had 5 years to memorize all this stuff. I don't feel like that's long enough to master all the video games he mastered, to memorize all of those movies. Like, I mean...
Yes, word for word.
I'm gonna be honest, I do have Monty Python and the Holy Grail memorized, but I started watching that movie when I was like 11, I want to say, is the first time I watched that. And it took hundreds and hundreds of times, probably, because
he's like, I watched it like a dozen times, and I have it memorized. I'm like,
But, like, that's the thing that you do when you're a kid. I think that's more of a kid thing, right? That you just, like, watch the same things over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was one of the things I'd watch over and over again. Beauty and the Beast, probably, I mean, definitely, but, like, a little younger. And so there are those movies that I used to watch over and over again, but I just don't know how you devote all of your time to do it. I just think that realistically, I found a lot of problems.
Yes.
Like, there were a lot of plot holes, and the feasibility of it, even it being a science fiction, post-apocalyptic universe that we're supposed to live in at this moment. I feel like that's something that I didn't find believable.
I agree.
It was hard for me to suspend my disbelief when it came to all of that nonsense.
Yes. Yeah. Especially because, like, it would be one thing if he was like, that song sounded familiar. I know I've heard it before. Let me look it up.
Right.
But instead he, like, can immediately spit out the year it came out, the person who sang it, like, the CD it was on, and all of the lyrics. That's just, no one's brain is that good.
For every music, every song,
For an entire decade.
And even more, because Holy Grail came out in 78.
That's true.
And there were some things that he mentioned that were later than that. What was it specifically? Like, he did mention, there were a couple things from Harry Potter that he mentioned. Actually, just once, I think he mentioned they played Quidditch at school. Like, you could play imaginary sports. Your face.
Which, like...
yeah.
Playing sports inside of a video game is just very fun.
I know. A lot of it. There's so much to unpack.
There is a lot.
And, okay, so here's another thing about the stacks that, while we're going back to the stacks thing that bothered me, was that, so he explains that in the future, which is approximately 25 years from now, as we sit, he says that all of, like, the, how does he explain it? Like, all of the rural and suburban people have to come in because the only jobs are located inside the cities. But then he also explains that a lot of the people in the stacks get on buses and go to factory farms right outside the city. So I'm like, wait. So
where are the jobs?
Am I explaining this correctly?
Yeah, like he just came up with things that were convenient at the time to say, and then totally contradicted himself.
Yeah, like, why are we moving further into the city if you're just going to go work at a farm?
Yeah.
Okay.
To live in a luxurious vertical trailer.
Yeah, I don't, whatever. So that was one of my first issues with.
Yeah. So this
specifically
the world. Yeah, and it's like a totally just like stupid, fucked up world. Because of climate change and bad politics, which hit a little close to home.
Oh, at one point he mentioned a thing when he was doing, towards the end of the book, when they're talking about voting, and he's like, I don't even vote for the US government things because it doesn't help at all anyway. You can't become a government employee, or you can't be elected unless you're a celebrity or a virtual reality. Wow, a reality TV star. And I was like, oh my god,
he knew.
I can't.
He knew. Ernest Cline is a fortune teller.
Oh my god.
He's a Nostradamus of his time.
He is. Yes, he's Nostradamus. Which is terrifying. Just frankly.
A little bit. If Ready Player One comes to pass, I'll just
end it.
It's be very sad about it. Okay, so as we've kind of hinted, there is this virtual reality system set up in the future called Oasis, which stands for something I don't remember.
Oh, because it's really long.
And
it's like a...
It is, and it doesn't make any sense either. It just, he came up with Oasis first and then came up with the acronym.
Oh, absolutely is what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And he also, the thing that I loved is that he spells out every single acronym of everything else, like MMORPG. He has to put it in parentheses, like what the definition is. And, when he says Artemis, he says, it's pronounced Artemis, and even though the E is a 3, and I'm like, yeah, we got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. But it's so elite hacker shit.
Oh,
we couldn't understand that as
Suxors.
Oh my god, the elite warehouse.
Oh my god. Oh,
yeah.
Seriously.
There's a lot of
There's
stupid.
a lot. But he immediately explains what all of these things are, which the reader, knowing what the book is about, probably already knows these things. Like, if you're reading this book for the first time, if you pick up Ready Player One and you don't know what, like, an MMORPG is, maybe this book is not for you. Then he doesn't explain what Oasis stands for until, like, page 40. And I'm like, you keep saying Oasis, Oasis, and it's in all caps, so we know it's an acronym, but why are you over-explaining to us what this means? Oh, and it turns out it's because it is irrelevant because it's a stupid acronym. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it's a stupid acronym, and I think, like, he didn't think of it until he got that far in the book.
Maybe. Like, this is what it is. Yeah.
So the creator of Oasis dies. His name is James Halliday. He dies, and upon his death, a contest is announced, where basically he has set up a scavenger hunt to find an Easter egg that he's left in the entire world of Oasis, which at this point is a very huge world where people have, like, created their own planets, and it just is, like, ever expanding virtual reality world. That's huge.
In his defense, the idea of the Oasis is really cool, in Ernest Cline's defense.
Yeah, I would play it. Cool. I would also go outside, though.
Correct. But you don't live in a barren wasteland, Anna.
This is true. There are things to go outside for still here in 2018.
Not in 2044.
Yeah, 2044 world sucks.
Don't go outside. So. You will get murdered.
So the first person to find the hidden Easter egg inherits James Halliday's company and fortune, which
sounds nothing like anything I've ever heard of before. Eccentric billionaire giving away his entire company to a kid who finds a golden egg. Okay.
Oh yeah, egg. Yeah.
I was gonna say ticket.
I got the golden egg. I've got the golden egg.
Oh my god, the thing where he explains what an oologist is. That's an old-timey biologist who used to study eggs, but we don't do that anymore. I'm like, wait, so you don't have biology in 2045? Also,
they don't need it more. They've got it all figured out.
All of biology. Now we're stuck on AI and virtual reality, and that's it. You reader, probably don't know what an egg is, or you can't figure out what oologist is. Like, context clues. That's the thing. Like, he would leave all these context clues that we as readers can easily pick up on, and then he explains what it means. And I'm like, if you have to explain it, you're not doing your job.
Well, he just assumes we're all idiots, so.
Which,
it's just that very, like, condescending tone throughout the whole book of, like, the person reading this can't possibly be as smart as me.
No, exactly. But then he picks the weirdest things to not explain. Did you notice that? Like, there are...
No, I didn't. I was too busy trying to get through it, I guess.
There are a couple things that he... the first thing that stood out to me was he was like, I walked into the cafeteria and then I scanned the room like a T-1000 and then just moves on and doesn't explain what the T-1000 is, which is the robot thing from Terminator 2. So, I was fine with it. Like, I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
But the way that he picked and chose which references he was going to explain and which he wasn't, didn't make sense to me at all. Like, he also would he'd throw a couple of Buckaroo Banzai quotes in there, which I get because I love that movie. But I realized, like, why would he not explain this? This is a super weird, obscure movie that I've only seen because somebody way older than me recommended that Michael and I watch it in college. Literally the only reason why I know what that is. So you'd think that would be something that he had to explain, like the whole thing where he's explaining like what a DeLorean is and like the flux capacitor, and I'm like, okay,
that's a little bit more mainstream.
That's way more mainstream than Buckaroo Banzai. Like, okay, whatever. I was just like, pick
I guess
a lane,
those were
buddy.
his Easter eggs in the book.
But and the thing is lol. He did have an Easter egg in the book, by the way. Like, there was a whole...
No,
yes,
did he really?
No, like, there was... I read this after the fact. There was a whole game that was built into the book that if you figured it out, he gave you a DeLorean, and he, like, awarded the prize in 2012 or something. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. That's all I know about it. But I was like, yikes.
Yikes, yeah.
And that's the thing, is I don't have a problem with dropping references. It's like an inside joke. So if you drop a reference and then move on, you're like, I got that. And if you don't, if you didn't get it, you just keep reading and it doesn't interrupt the flow. But if you get a reference, it's like wink. It's like a little wink from the author to the audience, which is, I love. It's fine. But it was just that he had those, but then he also had, by the way,
I just wanted to make sure that you knew that I was in on the joke.
Yeah, which ruined it for me. Like, absolutely. Just ruined it.
Defeats the purpose.
It's just terrible writing.
Okay, so we're still like in the exposition.
It's 100 pages. It's almost half the book.
It's a lot of exposition. So the first person to find the Easter egg inherits the company and fortune, just like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
What?
And
Sorry.
So the people that decide to hunt for the egg are known as egg hunters, which is then shortened to gunters.
Wait, pause for a second. And guys, if you don't know what a gunt is, just Google it. I'm not going to explain it, but Google gunt. And then you'll know where my head was. Every single time they said, are you doing it right now?
No!
Every single time he's like, we like to call ourselves gunters. Like, I bet you do.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, like maybe when you make up new fake words, maybe Google them before publishing them. I don't know.
That's a good idea.
I don't know.
I think that's some good life advice.
Yeah. J.K. Rowling did it in Harry Potter. Like, she talked about like when she came up with the word Horcrux, she would come up with a word and Google it and see what came up. Like, you've got to do this to make sure you don't make up a word that already has a definition that's disgusting.
Maybe this was another Easter egg.
Oh, God. Yikes.
So, the Gunters have to find three keys. They had to find 3 keys that will unlock 3 gates to find the key. And I guess this whole, like, subculture of being a Gunter develops. And, Wade Watts becomes best friends with a person who just goes by the word H, which is like the spelling out pronunciation of the letter H.
And if you're worried, he explains it, how to pronounce it, along with every other fucking word in the book. So if you're worried you don't know how to pronounce the word H, he tells you.
Which... that would have been, like, a fun thing, like, at the end of the book, like, actually, this was H's real name, and now I understood why H was H. Yeah. Like, you know, like, how we had to kind of wait till the 4th book to realize how to pronounce Hermione.
Hermione.
Hermione. Okay, and so H is also a Gunter, and they're all super into 80s pop culture.
Just like every 18-year-old kid should.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they just don't make music like they
really
used to,
don't.
man.
They really don't. My thing that I liked about it, or not liked, that I was laughing at, is that we're in 2018 right now, and we're already into, like, the kids doing all the 90s things, like with the chokers and, like, the fashion.
Oh my gosh,
also, like, teenagers, or, like, mainly on TV, because, like, I don't witness teenagers in real life ever. Youths, like, run. But they're dressed in all these clothes, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I definitely had that in 1998. And so we in 2018 have already skipped over redoing the 80s. We're now redoing the 90s. And so in 2044, I guess we've gone all over again, and, like,
cycle back
did they start
around.
at the 50s and then 60s? Like, you know, okay. The 80s were great. I mean, 80s movies, sure, thumbs up. Ferris Bueller, we all love it.
Not the fashion. I don't know if that ever needs to
not for real, but, like, doing 80s makeup is a lot of fun. Because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, there is that.
It's like full-on clown paint. I love it.
So much sparkle.
Oh, 80s parties are great because then you dress up like an absolute lunatic. So much hairspray.
So, the book... Where are we now in the book? Oh, so it's been 5 years since Halliday died.
Fast forward.
And they have not been able to solve the first clue of the Easter egg. And suddenly... And this book suffers from a case of what I have termed, because of course he does, which is that there is no rhyme or reason for the main character, Wade Watts, to be as good at any of the things he is, or as smart, or as, like, able to deduce the things that he does, other than the fact that he's the main character.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Wade has a sudden stroke of genius in his Latin class and puts together some Latin-y words in the clue and decides that the first key must be hidden on School Planet, because all students have free access to School Planet, and the creator must have wanted a school child to find. Right. Yeah.
For whatever.
You know, kids are really good at running businesses.
They are. Have you met Mark Zuckerberg? He is perfect and flawless and has never done anything wrong in his life.
Because he's a robot.
Zuckerbot.
Yes.
Zuckerborg.
Zuckerborg.
That actually brings me to another thing that really bothered me. So in talking about how he miraculously comes up with the answer to the first key in class, he's also talked about IOI, the other evil corporation.
Yeah. Which, again, stands for something I don't remember.
Because it doesn't matter. But what he does explain to us is that it's pronounced IOI. And the only reason why I can think that he explains it, because when you read it, it kind of looks like LOL, but you're reading it. So it's clearly eyes.
Right.
IOI. Like, you don't need to explain to us how to pronounce an acronym.
He didn't want us to go around calling it EOE. Like, this is a
That's
very serious book.
Like, oh, it's EOE. Oh, no, it's IOI. Thank you for explaining this to us, Ernest.
Thank you, Ernest Cline.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
No. So there's IOI, which he explains as being this, like, evil corporation who wants to take over for GSS, which is the corporation that Halliday had started with his, Brosif.
Yes. Og.
The great and powerful Og. I hated that so much. So I guess he was supposed to be like the Wozniak character. Oh, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Like
But he, so GSS is this corporation where, well, you can get in for free, and he just wanted it to be accessible by everybody, regardless of your status. But IOI wants to take over it and make you have to pay for everything, and not everybody will be able to have access, et cetera, et cetera. Pause for a second. He only has access because he's a poor kid, as is every other person on the planet, as he has told us in great detail.
For 60 pages.
60 or 70 or 100,000 pages, the whole book is talking about how everybody's so poor. Fine, I get that. So he only has access to the Ludus planet, which is the school. The only reason why he has access to this is because the government gives him, or I guess it's Oasis, not the government, but Oasis gives you the shitty headset just for school. But since he doesn't have any money, if he transports to another planet, he has to be with somebody else who takes him with them. He can't afford to do it himself. So this is a capitalistic system. There are lots of in-game purchases that you have to make, lots of like loot crates, if you will. He talks at length about how he can't access most of what the game and the whole system has to offer because he can't afford it. And he gets at a point in the game where after he gets the first key, then he gets they give him a bunch of money and a bunch of credits, and then he can get his apartment and all that kind of shit that he buys, and he buys the better haptic suit. Also, at that point when he was explaining his new suit, I was like, if you say the word haptic one more time, I'm going to fucking punch you in the face.
Everything is haptic.
Everything's haptic. We fucking get it. So he has his gloves, he's got his treadmill, he's got his whole setup that he can't have until he buys it. It's just as capitalistic as IOI. There's no difference.
It just hides
other than,
it.
I guess IOI is now we find out okay with killing people to win it. But
yeah.
Whatever. I think IOI is supposed to be a stand-in for the Ajit Pai and all those assholes who are trying to kill and are succeeding at killing net neutrality, which I don't think are the same. I don't think they're really particularly analogous, because he acts like Halliday is this like benevolent god who just wanted to give everybody access to every free video game in the world, but it's not. None of it's free. This Oasis is also a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Let's not forget this.
Yeah.
This is like, he's not Bernie Sanders. Like,
no. And also, Halliday kind of sounded like a totally antisocial jerk-hole. So.
Absolutely. Oh my God, what was it?
Yeah.
I know I wrote down a note about something that Halliday did. So page 55, it says that on the few occasions that Halliday agreed to do interviews, his behavior came off as bizarre, even by game designer standards. He was hyperkinetic, aloof, and so socially inept that the interviewers often came away with the impression that he was mentally ill. Halliday tended to speak so rapidly that his words were often unintelligible, and he had a disturbing, high-pitched laugh, made even more so because he was usually the only one who knew what he was laughing about. Oh, wow. So he's so smart that no one else gets his jokes. What a cool guy. Let's be friends.
What a great, yeah.
When Halliday got bored during an interview or a conversation, he would usually just get up and walk away without saying a word. What a cool guy to idolize.
What?
Yeah. Like, this is this asshole character, Wade Watts' idol.
He loves this guy.
Loves him. Like he would fuck him if he could. But he's dead.
Pretty much. Maybe he will try in the Oasis now that he, spoiler alert, wins the contest and has ultimate powers. Maybe he will make a Halliday character.
Ruin it for everyone.
Oh, sorry guys. I know you're really excited to read this one.
No one saw it coming. This book was unpredictable. Said no one ever.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so Halliday's a dick. And by the way, anybody who's going to try to argue that, like, that's just how game designers are, that they're aloof and they care about video games or whatever, fucking, what's his name? Gabe Newell is famously awesome as a person. Mm-hmm. And isn't the guy, like, Miyamoto, isn't that his name? The Nintendo guy? The guy that invented Mario?
Miyamoto,
right?
Yeah.
He's not, like, famously awesome and best friends with everybody, but he's not a complete dick. Like, you don't have to be an absolute asshole to also be a successful game designer, and I think that's kind of like what he's saying. Like, you have to be this really he even says it like almost an Asperger's kind of personality to succeed and to be cool, and that's what makes him cool. And I'm like, no, being an asshole doesn't make you cool. It makes you an asshole. It doesn't make you a genius.
Yeah.
It just, again, it makes you an asshole.
Yeah, I hate this, like, glorification of being the antisocial nerd and, like, making people think that that's an okay lifestyle to lead. Which, because in the course of this book, like, Wade doesn't leave his apartment for 6 months. Mm-hmm. Doesn't go outside, has food delivered to him, doesn't talk to anyone in real life.
Oh, at one point, he says that he threw away all of his regular clothes. All of his street clothes.
Yeah, and shaved all his hair.
No, he didn't shave it. He puts on non-toxic hair removing gel.
Oh, yes, that's what it is. Instead of shaving.
So he has no eyebrows, no eyelashes, no body hair whatsoever. He's
hair
basically like the Prometheus guys.
Oh my God.
That's how I was picturing him. Like a less muscular, like...
So gross.
Like really shiny and like kind of wet for some reason.
Oh, because he's always sweating in his haptic suit. You have to know that his apartment had such a funk.
Oh,
like
disgusting.
It stunk too high.
But he didn't know because he had not left it. It was like
he had not left it for 6 months.
Hermetically
it's
sealed.
Like biodome.
Like
that's what
hermetically sealed tomb of like his jerk off stench. Which, oh my God.
Oh God, it probably is. Oh my God, okay. We'll have to get there because we've been talking for like 45 minutes and haven't gone through any of the plot yet.
What? Because the plot only takes place between page like 150 and the end of the book. Mm-hmm. That's the thing.
Yeah,
it's like,
which is like 300 something pages.
All of this game that takes place over the course of a year is only the second half of the book. He takes half of it to get to any kind of plot, any action at all. Because he's too busy listing all of the fucking authors that he jerks off to, which, by the way, all are men. So we're supposed to believe that this asshole Halliday only read science fiction by men and didn't read any of like the Mad Adam trilogy, which is an amazing post-apocalyptic science fiction series by Margaret Atwood, if nobody's read it. He like there's Ursula K. Le Guin. I hate pronouncing her name. There is Octavia
Butler.
Yes, I almost said Octavia Spencer. That's an actress
who's also very awesome.
Yeah, also awesome, but not a science fiction author. All of these dudes that he just absolutely idolizes, directors too, which I don't know as much about
all
movies
dudes,
as I do about books, but you just can't convince me that he never read one book by a female author. And if he didn't,
unless he was doing it purposefully,
which
I would believe.
I would believe that absolutely.
Yes.
Of that asshole. But I just don't believe that any science fiction like super nerd has never read like The Left Hand of Darkness. I just don't believe that. But okay.
Not in this world.
That's fine.
There are no women in this world, maybe.
Maybe.
So he does find the first clip. It is on the school planet, and it is a dungeon that's modeled off of a D&D module called Tomb of Horrors. And Wade Watts has this module completely memorized, because of course he does. So he quickly makes his way through the dungeon until he reaches the end, where he has to challenge a big bad guy to playing a game of Joust. And he wins on the first try, and because of course he does.
It is Joust the video game, not actually jousting.
Oh, which would have been so much cooler. Yeah, you're right. It is Joust the video game.
So they're at like the arcade consoles, like left and right. They are not in a video game jousting, which would have been 10 times cooler.
Yeah, and totally doable. But no, they are playing an old arcade game in a video game.
Yes.
And Wade Watts wins on the first try. And upon leaving, he meets up with a female avatar, and I guess later proved to be actual female girl.
Which he has to make sure, because he doesn't want to talk to any dudes. He actually at one point asks her point blank whether or not she has had a sex change operation, just to be specific, to make sure that he's not jerking off to a trans woman. So that was cute. Oh my God. That was a cute thing that happened.
The way that he interacts with Artemis is so creepy. It was giving me chills reading it. Like, so I felt so uncomfortable.
So gross.
Yes. So Artemis is a semi-famous gunter who has a blog that Wade has been following for years. And he even goes so far as to like save every screen capture of her avatar that she posts online and assumably like beats off to it later. I don't know why you would save pictures of someone's avatar.
It's a great question.
So he meets her and they flirt awkwardly and start up this very like, I think it's supposed to be sweet, but really just like kind of overbearing relationship.
It's very nice guy. Like,
that's
I'm
what
a nice
it was.
guy. It's very much that. Like the whole, and very
which
fedora
I think he
tipping,
says.
Neck beardy, like,
Milady.
Milady. Like, I honestly think that he says Milady at some point.
I'm sure he does.
He's very much that like, oh no, I'm the kind of guy who doesn't care. Oh, because he wants to know, part of the whole thing with finding out whether or not she's trans is finding out whether or not she looks like her avatar, which by the way, most female avatars are tall and model thin or wasp-waisted with big boobs and a big butt, but not her. Artemis was shorter and she was curvy, just how he likes women. Like
not overweight curvy.
Not overweight curvy.
Specifies specifically.
Curvy, like big boobs, like hourglass, whatever.
Yes.
And so then she said, well, what if I don't look anything like my avatar, you wouldn't like me in person or whatever. And he's like, yes, I would. I'm not one of those guys who only cares about looks. I care about your personality. Right.
We connected mentally. I'm in love with your mind.
He literally says that at one point. Which, gross.
It is extremely gross.
Anyway, so he continues to talk down to Artemis and make her, even though she is obviously just as good of a gamer as he is, because she makes it to the tomb before, right? It was a tomb, whatever. She makes it to the tomb before him. He just happens to be, because of course he does.
Because of course he is. Yeah.
He has memorized this game already. So she realizes what he's up to. He tries to kind of like be sly and get out of there before she realizes that he's already gotten the key, but too late. She figures it out because she's not a complete fucking idiot.
Yes. Yeah, so, and then he takes the key to the first gate, and upon entering the gate, he's, like, thrust into the role of Matthew Broderick's character in War Games, and he has to act out the whole movie, perfectly in order to pass the gate and move on to the next key. So he's like getting points, which was kind of cool. I will admit, it was kind of a cool idea where you were like given points for how well that you can recite the lines and act out the part of someone.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
And, I guess, but he does it perfectly on the first try.
And again, also, yes, I can for the most part recite like Beauty and the Beast and Monty Python, and like we've all like memorized movies and movie lines, but
Princess Bride for me.
Oh my god, right? There's no way that I believe that he has it absolutely 100% memorized flawlessly without any hiccups the first try. Like, that's stretching.
But of course he does. Of course he does.
Okay, like,
he's the main character.
I know we're supposed to be suspending our disbelief that this is a novel, like immerse yourself in this reality, but it's so hard to immerse myself in this reality when he has to stop every 5 minutes and like explain why this thing is happening. Like, you don't need to explain it. We're reading it.
Yeah, just like let it happen. Just we accept that that's a conceit of your
Show us. You don't have to tell us. Show us this thing.
And I'm just like very clearly reminded, and this is going to be like kind of like book snooty of me, but just like reminded of A Clockwork Orange, where like we're presented with this entire new slang that is based off of a non-English language, and we're not given a like glossary or anything. We just kind of have to go along and figure out what like horror show and all the other terms are.
Yeah, but can we both agree that Clockwork Orange is a much better novel?
Oh, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like, we don't need to, like, have it explained to us, like, step by step what every single stupid little thing means.
No, we don't. We don't. We can figure it out. Because, again, this book is for nerds. It's written, and that's why I was so surprised that I didn't like it, because this book is for me. Like, it is, I love science fiction. I love video games. I love, though it's not really mentioned in the book that at all that much, but like Harry Potter is like my fucking jam. Like all of these things I love.
But you don't like creepy guys.
But I don't like creepy guys.
So that's kind of a detriment.
And there's nothing that I love more, and I feel like any woman who kind of can identify with being a nerd, quote unquote, whatever that means to you, you love it so much when a man comes up to you and says, and you say like, oh yeah, no, I love Star Wars. Oh, do you though? Then like, what planet is Chewbacca from? And then you say, well, he's from planet Kashyyyk. And they're like, oh yeah, really? Well then like, what's Boba Fett's ship's name? And you're like, it's the Slave One. And they're like, yo, whatever, bitch, you're fat. And then walk away. Like, we love that.
Pretty much.
We love it.
I really like being talked down to. It's one of my favorite
I love it. It makes me horny. That's why I married Michael. He's incredibly condescending. Fuck. Gross.
Artemis finds the key next, and then also H does, and then two Japanese brothers, Shoto and Daito.
Oh,
and
also wait, because of course the top three people are all friends.
Yeah,
H, and though he does give H a clue or whatever.
Yeah, he tells H.
But Artemis, like they become like this friend group, kind of.
Yeah, because they don't want to be too friendly because they're competitive. They're competing against each other.
Yeah, but also, what a weird coincidence that they're all three North American people who have run across each other in other situations. Like, that's very out of the... I'm assuming, like, there's 7 billion people on the planet now in this post-apocalyptic nightmare. I'm assuming there are a couple more billion. And out of all of the billions of people playing this fucking game, the top three happen to know each other.
Yeah, it's very convenient. Okay. And very whitewashed.
Don't even fucking start.
But there's two Japanese guys.
Mm-hmm. And spoiler alert. Are we going to talk about H?
One of them dies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then H is like...
We don't know.
H... Yeah, we don't know. We assume H is a male. Because
he has assumed that H is a male. Because why else would he be friends with somebody who's not a dude? And his avatar is a white man. Yes.
But we later learn that H is actually an overweight black girl.
Yeah.
Which is how she says that. Like, I feel
she does. Oh,
I felt like I was like saying that accusatory.
No. She
but
says,
I wasn't. Like, that's just
at the end again. They meet in person, and he sees her for the first time, and he's like, what? And he's kind of surprised, and she goes, what? You didn't think I'd be a fat black chick? That's like the actual quote. And he's like, no, I mean, and he like stutters something stupid and ignorant. And she tells her story, and it turns out that her mom told her that she should play as a white character, a white male, because she'd like get further, which is probably correct. Like, let's be honest. And it's a
very true.
Like, right? Because we know as women, when we play video games as female characters, we are objectified and harassed and all kinds of lovely stuff. So then he white knights, and he decides, I don't care that you're African American and that you're not a man. You're still my best friend. No. God damn it, friend. Just ruins everything.
And she's also gay, which I don't think. It's just like he tried to stuff every other category of existence you could be into one character. That's like assumed to be a white male the entire time. It's just like, I kind of see what he's trying to do there, but it was not executed well. Like
everything else in this book, it was poorly executed.
It was not.
Because instead of having a wide range of characters and representative of multiple different facets of life, it is, like you said, like, let's stuff everything into one character. And he's like, but I like you anyway.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, white male, for being accepting of people that are different from you.
Yeah, exactly.
You deserve an award. Thank you.
Literally, exactly. Here's your trophy. And he gets one. But he shares it. He shares it with his friends and his girlfriend.
He's so sweet. They split it evenly.
Ugh. Barf.
So let me think what happened. So Artemis ends up dumping Wade because he tells her he loves her, and it's like way too soon for that, I guess, and she wants to focus on finding the key.
Oh yeah, because they're at Ogg's birthday party, which they're allowed to. They're invited to Ogg's birthday party, which is on a party planet, which
is literally it's on party planet. Like,
which, okay, but also
sure.
Why he keeps talking about like some zones in different planets and different areas are not PvP friendly or whatever. Like you can't fight either using magic or weapons.
Right.
Why would the party planet be a PvP zone? It's a party planet.
Dude, we're all there to have a good time.
We're here to party and like celebrate this old dude's birthday for some reason.
Yeah. Who is like a wizard who was also DJing the party.
Yes.
Which
I pictured him as Steve Wozniak, so it's like a big fat gray haired like beardy weirdo.
I think that that was kind of it. No,
or do you think he's more like a Paul Allen?
No, he was like a George Lucas in my mind.
So still gray, fat, beardy guy.
Yeah, definitely still the exact same image, but that's who I was imagining.
Yeah. Okay. But like DJing.
Yeah. The DJ in wizard's garb.
Super cool. And he's talking about how he's manipulating not only the music but the surroundings, like the actual
he
would make the planet spin and all the lights, and like he would suspend gravity and you'd be able to fly at certain points, and everything was like, this is what this guy spends his time doing, is DJing
in this game
his birthday
where he's
party.
all powerful.
Because I don't know about you guys, but I know a few 73-year-olds and none of them want to have dance party birthdays.
But what if it was a virtual dance party birthday?
He wouldn't actually have to dance. He just sits there in his little machine, like
he just types like dance. It's like WASD in a little circle.
What's the WoW? Just like the slash command on WoW for dance.
Oh god, is it just dance? I don't know.
Slash dance. That's what it is. It's slash dance.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because then Wade actually does say that he like uploaded a program to help him dance because he doesn't have any dance moves. The Travolta.
Because that's, again, what every 18-year-old boy aspires to, is dancing like John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever.
No, it's totally John Travolta and Hairspray. Come on. Welcome to the 60s.
Welcome to the 60s. Whoa. No, that's way too early.
Hey, mama.
The 80s are cool, not the 60s,
oh,
Anna.
Sorry, yeah.
God, idiot. Oh, shit.
So, Artemis breaks up with Wade at the super dance party.
Right before they're attacked by the
by EOB guys.
Suxors. That's
the Suxors.
SUX0RZ, in case you were wondering.
Suxors. Yes, which is what the Gunters call the
Sixers.
EOE employees.
EOE.
EOE. And Og kills everybody.
Right.
And then Artemis flies off and finds the next key. And Wade gets mad because a girl did something better than he did. And so he doubles down his efforts to find the key. And he mistakenly follows the clues to a planet called Arcade, which is like arcade, but spelled like sci-fi.
Yeah, it was like ARCAIDE or something like that.
Yeah, something. I think there's like an H or something in there.
ARCHAIDE.
Yeah, like Archade.
Archade.
And he finds a Pac-Man machine with a magical quarter stuck to it, and he just assumes he has to play a perfect game of Pac-Man in order to find the next key. So he plays a perfect game of Pac-Man because of course he does.
On the first try, right? Is it? Oh, no. He plays it for like 6 hours, and he like exploits like glitches in the game so he can go pee, and like he explains all of this stuff, and I'm like, you don't have to explain a bathroom break, Wade. We get it. You probably peed at some point.
Though I'm surprised he doesn't have like a haptic pee cup.
A haptic diaper.
But his interpretation of the clue was incorrect, and all he does is win a magic quarter, which will become important later. Mm-hmm. So finally, H gives him a hint about how to find the next key, which, like, the other cool thing that Wade did was totally dump his friend H for a girl.
Oh, yeah, really cool.
Yeah, so they haven't really been talking, but then H is like, here's how you find the second key. We're even now because you told me how to find the first key. So Wade goes and collects the second key on the first try because of course he does. Mm-hmm. And but meanwhile, like, the EOE Suxors have been tracking Artemis and H through some magical item that they have and to get to the next key, and they're all there, and a battle ensues, and then Daito, one of the Japanese brothers, dies, but also he dies IRL because
they murder him.
Yeah, they murder him in real life because EOE is bad guys. Also, they like blew up Wade's house earlier.
Oh yeah,
which we forgot to mention. Like they just like exploded the stacks and killed a bunch of innocent people, but Wade wasn't there because of course he wasn't. Right. And then he runs away to Columbus, Ohio.
Because Anna, I feel like you can vouch for the fact that Columbus, Ohio is legit.
Yeah, I did live there for 4 years, and I can say it is.
Is it too legit to quit?
It is. No, I quit it. I moved away from there
a lot.
I mean, it's not a bad city, but it is certainly not on its way to being.
But this is post-apocalyptic
Silicon Valley of the Midwest.
This is post-apocalyptic Columbus, where you live in an old Hilton, and you.
True.
By the way, we have not talked about how he bought a fuck doll.
Oh my god, I so forgot. Okay, so yeah, so he after he finds the first key, he gets famous and gets a lot of money. And after Artemis breaks up with him, he gets super sad and uses his fortune
because he's a virgin.
To buy. Yes, because he's a virgin. Which is super important to him as someone who is a red pill incel.
Yeah, because remember, kids, the most important thing is how and when you have sex for the first time. It's very all of your self-worth
sacred.
Relies on that one moment.
Yes, and if you have it too early, you're just a dirty, dirty slut.
Only if you're a girl, though.
Only if you're a girl. If you're a man, then you're a stud.
Do it whenever you want.
But he buys an anatomically correct. I think it's not even like an entire doll. It's just like what I imagined was like basically a rump with.
I feel like he explains it as being like one of the mid-range because he goes into detail of describing what a fuck doll is, and I'm like, we know what a fuck doll is. Much
description of this throwaway idea of a sex doll.
It is ridiculous. I can't. And then he talks about like how he had to throw it out because he was fucking it too much. And then
he stayed multiple days in a brothel, in a virtual brothel.
In a virtual brothel, fucking this silicone thing.
Multiple, like, in one go, multiple days.
I mean,
he was having sex for days.
Energy. God, it's like my
dream. He was masturbating.
Yeah, so then he goes in to explain that he got rid of the fuck doll because he realized that what he was really doing was just essentially using something else to masturbate. But then he also explains why he thinks masturbation is okay. And he quotes Halliday's book verbatim because there is an excerpt in the book for why Halliday thinks jerking off is cool, so you should too. And I'm going to admit, Anna, I've never done it before, but after reading this, I was like, I'm going to try it. It turns out he was right.
Wow, masturbating is great.
This new thing
I didn't have the courage until I read Ready Player One to touch my no-no zone.
My mommy told me that was a no-no zone. Hold on. I really want to find this excerpt because it was so fucking funny.
Please do.
I can't tell you how hard I laughed. Wait, I found it. Okay. So he cites the, it's AA 241:87, like this is a fucking Bible. Which I guess for him it is. It's like his incel Bible.
For him, yeah.
I would argue that masturbation is the human animal's most important adaptation, the very cornerstone of our technological civilization. Our hands evolved to grip tools all right, including our own. Not female masturbation, just male masturbation.
Just male masturbation.
Just to be very clear. You see, thinkers, inventors, and scientists are usually geeks, and geeks have a harder time getting laid than anyone. Right. Ask our husbands. Hey-oh. We've never done it. Without the built-in sexual release...
we have yet to have consummated our marriage.
Without the built-in sexual release valve provided by masturbation, it's doubtful that early humans would have ever mastered the secrets of fire or discovered the wheel. Okay? And you can bet that Galileo, Newton, and Einstein never would have made their discoveries if they hadn't been able to clear their heads by slapping the salami or knocking a few protons off the old hydrogen atom, which is what I've always called it. How did he know? The same goes for Marie Curie. Oh, good. He's acknowledged that there was one woman
representation.
Scientist. But then he says, before she discovered radium, you can be certain she first discovered the little man in the canoe. End quote. Guys, this goes without saying, I thought. Did we need to explain that masturbation's fun? Is this a thing that we needed to take 2 pages to explain?
Well, we needed a man to tell us it was okay to give into our animal.
And like you said, now that he told me it was okay, I'm going to go ahead and give myself permission to do it. Thank you, Ernest Cline. Thank you so much.
So much.
Hashtag rant over.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right.
Now I feel all gross. I
felt perpetually gross from the moment I started rereading this shart of a novel.
The shart of a novel. So let's see. So there's like this epic battle. Wade gets the second key, goes through the second gate, which involves some Blade Runner references and another video game.
Yeah.
And he does it perfectly the first time.
Oh yeah, he has to do the Voight-Kampff test, which is in Blade Runner what they use to tell if you're a human or an android.
Which is kind of interesting because like you're a human, but you're a virtual human, so
right. But I guess
you're a real human still.
I mean, that is the eternal question of when you create artificial intelligence that is intelligent enough to pass the Turing test. Where does consciousness or organic consciousness end and artificial consciousness begin? This is the eternal question that Ernest Cline is not intelligent enough to answer in this book.
Thank you for coming to our TED Talk.
Yes. Guys, go watch Westworld. It's much better.
Oh. Right. I can't wait for that to come back.
All right.
Blah, 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 blah. Third key is a Rush reference. Wade gets it because of course he does.
Of course he does. Because he's also mastered the drums also. Or
and he can play guitar and a bunch of stuff. I don't know. But the problem with the third gate is that the EOE sucksers get there first and they set up a blockade that literally no one can get into. Mm-hmm. It's an impenetrable fortress of a sphere that they've used to surround the gate. Sure. No one can get into it. So Wade hatches this crazy idea where he becomes an indentured servant to EOE because this is IOI, because this is a thing in the future where you can, if you owe a company too much money, they can take you in as an indentured servant. So I guess
this is, to be very honest, this is part of the book that I was skimming because I got so frustrated with the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Had he planned this in advance because they capture him because he stopped paying his bills?
Yeah. Well, so what he did was like months and months and months ago on the underground Lee Taxor's warehouse, someone put up codes for IOI's intranet, and he bought them on the off chance that they would ever become useful to him because of course he did. And then so I guess like once they put up this blockade, he hacks into the U.S. government citizenship database, and makes it look like he owes IOI money, but he doesn't really. Okay. So they come pick him up. And then, like, once he's ready to break out, he hacks back into the government's website and takes away his debt and deletes his personality. Right. And
because he had already gotten a new alias, and this is him. I don't remember what it was, like, Brett something.
Bryce or something.
Stupid. Yeah. And that so now he switches back to his Wade Watts identity.
Yes, because he was on the run from IOI because they tried to kill him or whatever. But it's like, we're assuming a lot here. So we already said, like, 5 years, we've already kind of decided is not enough time for him to memorize as much, like, trivial knowledge about the 80s as he has. Like, yes, to the extent that he has.
Expert, like, flawless way. Like, all of these hundreds of video games, all of these movies, books, etc.
It's incredible.
I find that hard to fathom. Even if that's all he was doing, which I guess it kind of was. Like, he's just basically
but he was also a full-time student.
That's true.
He was also learning to play guitar, and then apparently also he was learning how to... Oh, no, he had to fix up... In order to make money, back when he lived in the stacks before he got famous for finding the first key first, he made money by fixing up old Oasis rigs and stuff. So, like, he had a job. He had school. He was memorizing 80s facts and trivia, and then he was also learning how to hack better than...
Any hacker. And this is from the age... Let's not forget the age of 13 to 15. War Games.
Yes. I mean, yes, because this was 5 years, and he's 17 in this book. So
yeah, doesn't he turn 18 in the course of the novel? So he's between 12 and 17. He's mastered being the best hacker ever, and I guess it's kind of like the kid from... Have you seen War Games, by the way?
I haven't.
It's not bad. But basically, we're supposed to think that Wade Watts is like this super genius, savant or whatever you want to call him.
Yeah, super awesome.
It's just too... I don't know.
It's too many things. You can't do all of the things, Wade Watts. You cannot. So he gets arrested, he hacks another system, he finds out all the information he needs to reveal that IOI is murderers, and that they're stalking him and all his friends. And then he breaks out of indentured servitude, tells his friends what's going on, leaks this information to the media. And then Og steps in and is like, "Come to me, children, and I will provide you a safe haven while you go through the third gate."
Which, can we all talk about how there's no way that this dude didn't know that IOI was trying to kill these kids the whole time?
Yeah,
and then he just Deus Ex Machinas out of nowhere and is like, "Come on, I'll save you," after the first kid has already been thrown out of a window. Like, literally defenestrated.
And Wade Watts' home blown up. Like, he was like, well, on Halliday's deathbed, like, we were kind of estranged friends, but then on his deathbed, he told me to, like...
Oh, because he was in love with his
wife. To watch over the
contest.
contest. Yeah, and make sure that it, like, plays out the way I wanted it to play out. And Og's like, okay, I will do that. But then, like, doesn't step in until this moment at the end, which you said, like, is Deus Ex Machina. It's just like...
I will save you.
There was... Yeah, and there was, like, no... I mean, I guess there was, like, a little foreshadowing that Og had, like, more powers than an ordinary player would, but there was nothing to suggest that, like, Og was interested in this game at all.
Oh, no.
He just, like, comes up out of nowhere, and he's like, I was spying on you the whole time. Yeah, thanks for coming to my birthday party. I didn't write a thank you note, though.
Yeah, like...
So, they... so also while he was in their intranet, he, like... releases a series of commands for a thing to happen at a specific time that will be very beneficial to the plot of the story. So,
because of course
Wade breaks out of indentured servitude. They fly to Seattle, which is when Wade meets everybody in person for the first time. So, like, H comes in. I guess H lives in an RV because she was kicked out of her home when she came out to her parents. And so she lives in an RV and she's mobile, which is why IOI never found her. But she comes and she picks up Wade, and they go to the airport to get on Og's private jet, fly to his home, where he welcomes them in with open arms, which is like, to me, if you know that there are people out there trying to kill you because of your position in this Easter egg hunt, why would you go with a virtual stranger to their home?
That's
like, where there was no witnesses to you going.
That's a great
question.
Like,
it just seems like, and it turned out fine.
Well, we trusted him,
but
because
what
he
if
was
it
his
didn't?
And like, well, there's a lot of things that Wade does that like doesn't make sense. The whole thing where he gives all of this information to Artemis. He completely like breaks down all of this, all of his like kind of barriers that he's put up to protect himself, because he talks about like how he won't share certain information with H. Their friendship only goes so far because they are separate gamers and they're trying to separately win. Or Gunters, sorry, Gunters.
Gunters.
I hope everybody at this point has looked up what Gunt means. But yeah, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, I just think that his character in general is too trusting and not savvy enough. Though he might be technically smart and like technically have all of these things mastered and all of these skills mastered, socially he is incredibly incompetent. And for all 4 of these people to just be like, okay, well, I mean, maybe it's just that they're like, well, this is our last resort, because they know now that they're all being hunted by the Sixers. And they're like, well, I guess might as well. We're gonna fucking die anyway, because this asshole is after us. Sorrento.
Might as well die in the lap of luxury instead of here in broken downtown Columbus.
I guess. And / wherever, Japan and Portland or wherever.
Yeah.
And
wherever.
Oh no, Artemis was
she's
in
Vancouver.
She's Canadian.
Yeah.
Because
she's not American, Canadian. It's different.
It's different.
Well, yes, it is very different, but I think in the grand scheme of things, it's not different enough. So, there's another fight. Wade kills the head honcho at IOI, because of course he does. Shoto's avatar dies somewhere in this process of killing. So, it's left down to Wade, Artemis, and H enter the third gate. And as soon as they do, IOI launches a bomb that blows up literally everyone and everything except the gate.
Right. It's basically
so everybody dies.
Everybody dies.
Yes. Everybody dies and everything is destroyed too, which is the other stupid thing. But except Wade, because remember he had that magic quarter from earlier. It gave him an extra life.
What?
So he doesn't die. He's the chosen one. He enters the third gate. Yes. He enters the third gate. He plays a game called Tempest. Acts out the entirety of Monty Python.
Oh, wait. Go back to the Tempest thing. So
yes,
everybody's dead, but their avatars are dead. They're inside his headset talking to him the whole way. So at one point, Artemis says, "Oh yeah, obviously it's the Tempest because that was his favorite game, and he put a quote, or Halliday put a quote in there from the Tempest, and so that's why you should have already known that this was a key." And so then Shoto goes, "Wow, she's like really smart." And I'm like, yes, she's been better at this game than you the whole time. She's been either first or second place the whole fucking game, and Shoto was always like 10th place. Yeah, of course she's smart, you fucking asshole. God. Oh, but it's because
she's a girl.
She's a girl, and she reads Shakespeare. What a loser. Like,
I bet she's actually fat.
Oh my God. The horror. God. So that was one thing that stood out to me as one thing. Thing 1,000 on the list of like unnecessary sexist remarks. Turns out the person who's best at the game is pretty smart. What?
Wow.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Because I don't know if we liked this book.
She has a vagina. How? Gross.
I thought that like deducted IQ
it
points.
Does. The woman's brain is a third the size of man's. It's just science.
Wait, do you think this means that like I could be smart if I wanted?
No. Absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
Good.
Nice.
I didn't
nice try though. That
sounded like a lot of pressure. So then he finds the Easter egg and wins and gets the girl. And that's the end of the book.
They split it 3 ways. By the way, the reason why she has terrible self-esteem and she doesn't want him to see him is because she has a port wine stain. Who cares?
Oh, yeah.
And he's like,
who cares?
And he's like, oh, this is why you, and I just thought you were going to think I was so ugly. I'm deformed. I think you're more beautiful in real life than your avatar. That's making out, by the way. That was my making out impression.
It was very attractive.
She can, yeah, right? Get closer to the camera. I'm sure Emily is loving this.
Yes. She doesn't even have the visual aid.
I know. God, we should have recorded the video too. Yeah, no, it's fucking terrible. So it's super predictable. He wins. But then I guess there's going to be a second book, because there's no follow-up as to, like, what they do with their millions and millions.
I guess it was confirmed last year that he's writing a sequel.
Yeah. Thank God. We've all been screaming for one. I guess people love this book, and I guess I don't...
Yeah, I guess this can kind of go into silver lining.
Yeah. So it has redeeming qualities. There are certain things that I laughed at, I thought were clever. There was something that I read today that I thought was genuinely clever, but I don't remember what it was, so it doesn't matter. The idea, and so I think that the idea is very cool, and it could be a very, like, an excellent novel or series of novels if the author had the writing skill and prowess of a much better author. But unfortunately, his idea is too large for his skill to be able to fully flesh out.
Shots fired.
Sorry. Come at me. You can't. I don't have Twitter.
Oh, lucky. I got sucked in and now I can't quit it. My silver lining was that I'm kind of, like I already said, I kind of like the genre. Which all started for when I was probably like 13 or 14, got really into an anime video game series, the Dot Hack series, which is about a kid who gets stuck in a video game, which is like a virtual reality game similar to this, and then like it's very good and I like it.
Sure.
And so I guess that just has kind of influenced my reading tastes in this regard. Very formative experience there for me. So I like the genre, but like you said, yeah, if it was just a little bit better of a book,
it's just I've admittedly never read anything else in the genre. What do you call it? Literary RPG.
Lit RPG.
Yeah. So I've never read anything else in that genre. But I would try it. You know, I'll try anything once. Like. But this, for me, it was poorly written. The blatant sexism and homophobia. Like, at one point, he calls somebody a twink as a slur, which is, like, for no reason. Why? Okay.
Well, was there a character you related to at all?
Absolutely not.
Throughout the book?
Absolutely not.
No. I tried. I guess Og was the least hateable just because he was the least present.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
I didn't.
But yeah, really, like,
maybe
there's just a lot of toxic characters.
H is
maybe Artemis, because the whole like.
No, I lost respect for Artemis because she fell for all of Parzival's bullshit.
That's true. Yeah. Oh yeah, Wade's avatar is called Parzival.
Because, like, that's the original version of Percival from the Knights of the Round Table. It was originally spelled Parzival, so, like, that's why.
Yeah.
Also, can we talk about who we think in the beginning the villain is going to be this guy named IROC, and then he's gone and never comes back?
And then he disappears forever? Yeah.
Chekhov's villain, I guess is what we're calling him?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or no, the opposite of Chekhov's villain.
What would that be?
Because Chekhov's gun is like...
it reappears.
The idea, like, if something is in the first act, it has to reappear in the third act, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Because...
Yeah, he just vanished.
Because Ernest Cline is not a good writer. Why you don't put anything in a plot that is unnecessary, and this IROC character is unnecessary. Like,
100%.
All he is a dick for, like, 30 pages, and then we never hear from him again. So, it would have been cool if it came back in the end and found out that IROC had gone to work for the Sixers and was Sorrento, or like was Sorrento's, like, you know, right-hand man or whatever, and he was like, fuck
like
you,
a spy.
Parzival. I'm gonna fuck you up.
It's like he forgot.
It's like he meant to do that, but then forgot and then put it in, like, out to publish. Because also...
oh, shit! IROC!
Also, there was no editor. There's clearly... I wrote on multiple notes. Did he have an editor? Is there an editor anywhere? I'd like to hire one.
His name was Shmurna Schmein.
Oh my god.
No relation.
Oh wait, I found the quote that I wanted to read that was really sexist. So he's talking about being in class and his least favorite teacher, which is a history teacher, I want to say. And, here we go. Of course, we didn't know who Mr. Ivanovich was or where he lived. We didn't know his real name or even if he was really a man. For all we knew, he could have been a small Inuit woman living in Anchorage, Alaska, who had adopted this appearance and voice to make her students more receptive to her lessons. So, Inuit women, native Alaskans can't teach high school, especially
command no respect.
Especially if they have vaginas, because you can't get respect as a native woman with, I don't know, to teenagers. Speechless.
They were so much just like, just so casual about it too. Just like,
she probably had to pretend to be a man because obviously, why would I listen to a woman, especially if she was brownish?
Yeah, gross.
Casual racism is pretty fun, right?
If you could be anyone, why wouldn't you just be a white man?
Duh.
So, what would you rather be reading in place of this wonderful book?
Literally any other book. A phone book.
A phone book?
No. So I actually was reading Cloud Atlas when you so rudely asked me to do this podcast, and I abandoned Cloud Atlas.
I'm so sorry.
For this book. So I will finish reading Cloud Atlas. I'm very excited. I've heard
okay.
from multiple... Actually, I was reading it because the weather is like kind of nice now in Houston, so I'd been like going to cafes, like sitting outside and reading.
I'm so jealous. It was like 28 degrees here this morning.
I don't know. I'd still trade with you. It's still so humid and gross. And
I love that. I love that.
Okay.
So
Well, I'm so Houston.
like a weirdo.
You're invited.
Yes.
But I got people like stopping on the street, like walking by, like, "Hey, is that Cloud Atlas? That's an awesome book." And I'm like, "I'm trying to read it. If you fuck off." But
thank you. I know.
yeah, but it's, I mean, hey. I'm very excited.
That's high praise though. Someone randomly tells you.
I've never been compelled to stop somebody on the street to do anything other than pet their dog.
Yeah. Like I hate interrupting people that are reading. Yes,
because I hate being interrupted while reading. Asshole. No, it's fine. No, so I'm excited to read that. I also do want to finish my guilty pleasure read, which is Lethal White.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. What were you mumbling?
I said Ready Player
One.
Oh
no. I'm all set on Ernest Cline.
I would rather be reading a sci-fi series by an author named Rachel Bach. The first book is Fortune's Pawn. I don't remember the name of the series. It's Honors something, Paradox something. I don't remember. Sorry. It's called, the first book in the series is Fortune's Pawn by Rachel Bach, which is a sci-fi series about a female mercenary character who is just kind of like this rough and tough girl, and she kind of stumbles across a conspiracy while she is on a doing like a security on a trade route sort of thing, and it is very good. I enjoy Rachel Bach's writing style. She also writes under the name Rachel Aaron. When she writes fantasy books, she writes under a different name than when she writes sci-fi books, and all her stuff is very good, so recommend.
Cool.
Very cool.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so I guess that about wraps it up for this fortnight, which is a weird thing to say because Emily always says that, but I had to say it, and it felt weird. So thank you, Lindsay,
You're
for
welcome.
joining us for this episode, and I'm so sorry you had to read this book.
You asked me, I picked the book, so I apologize to you. But
well, no, you opened my eyes, and now my Goodreads rating has changed and is less embarrassing.
You know what? I will go change my Goodreads rating right now because I had put 3. I'm giving it 1. We're going down to 1 star.
Good.
I hate this book so much, and I don't know.
It's
fucking come at me if you want. I don't give a shit. Even though I don't have Twitter, and I never go on Facebook. So,
is there anything you would like to promote or give a shout out to while you are here in our airspace?
Like my Instagram account. I just posted a really cute picture of Fred. So if anyone wants to see that.
Sure, I'll put it in the show notes.
A picture of Fred in the bath looking at me like I tried to
Oh, yeah. I was going to say your Instagram, but yeah. I can put a picture of Fred, too.
He's cute.
Yeah.
There is actually something that I would like to promote. Not promote, but, like, if you would like a supplemental reading, I'm going to look up the exact article. And, Anna, if you want to put this in the show notes, it's an actual very eloquently written critique of this book, unlike the rambling that you and I were just doing.
The 2 hours of conversation we've had. Yeah. Sorry, this episode is a little
long. And we knew it was going to be long, too. Like, we were talking yesterday or day before, like, this is going to fucking suck for Em. Yeah. I apologize in advance. Yeah. But I just want to say the name of the author of this. I had read it, like, years ago when I was actually reading the book, and I felt like I was the only person ever. I didn't know anybody who didn't love this book. I'm like, I felt like I was the crazy one. Like, am I, like, the only person in the world who thinks this book is garbage? I'll find it later. And we can...
I was looking too, but
I think it's on the Verge.
Well, yeah, we'll find it, and we will put it in the show notes.
Again, eloquent and well thought out.
See, so, a little bit. It adds legitimacy to our podcast. There you go.
It is legit, Anna. Never, ever doubt yourself.
Thank you. So, if you're a woman who has experienced the fake geek girl phenomenon, why don't you tweet at us about it at hatereadcast, or send us an email at hatereadcast@gmail.com. As always, thank you to Ben Cope for the use of our theme song. If you have not yet subscribed to us, please do so on whatever podcast aggregator app or website that you use. And if it is iTunes, please leave us that 5-star review. We also have a little bit of a website up now. It is hatereadcast.wordpress.com, which we can also start leaving links for below in the show notes, but it's not really fully fleshed out yet. There's some stuff there, like a list of all of our episodes and stuff, but we will be adding things like transcripts and more information about hosts and guest hosts if they want us to add information on there about them, and other things about ourselves in the podcast as we think of them. In the words of Ernest Cline, it's not over until it's over, and it's not over yet.
Yes. Is that really a quote? Was that in the book? I don't remember.
That is seriously a quote from the book, yes.
God damn it. This guy needs to take like 6,000 or 8,000 creative writing classes. If I ever see his fucking DeLorean in Austin,
He lives in Austin?
He lives in Austin. He drives around that douche-mobile everywhere.
Oh my god. Yeah. Yes, please find him.
I've never found him.
Heckle him.
I've never seen Alex Jones.
Send him a link to this podcast episode.
I will. That's just what he wants to read, is 2 women just laughing about how much he sucks.
Shitting on his life's work.
I actually want to meet his wife and be like, is he really like this? Or like, is this just a shitty character that he wrote? Because I feel like Wade Watts is like a stand-in for Ernest Cline almost.
Oh, absolutely. Self-insert.
Ernest Cline's wife, if you're listening and you need help, email us.
Email us at hatereadcast now.
If you're trapped and you don't know how to get out, feel free.
Just write "help me" on your eyelids and blink at us.
Remember, like in Indiana Jones, that was a movie from 1985.
Yeah, that came out starring Harrison Ford as the titular Indiana Jones of the title. Okay, I'm going to stop this recording now.